Hey, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to this week's edition of Artist Alchemy. This is the program where we interview artists, kind of talk about that magic they do, turning the everyday into something special. Our special guest this week is Stoney Meagher, photographer and great friend, retired businessman, comedian, comedy impresario, professional fisherman, and a whole bunch more. How are you, Stoney? Good to see you.
Doing great. How are you, David? It's been crazy.
I know, what a year. How's your life been during? We're coming out of it, but how was life during the time of COVID for you?
COVID was, we were busier. We probably doubled our revenue from the year before with the real estate photography. It just, I thought things would tank, but the real estate industry just boomed, and with a lot of the services we provide, we just exploded. I had to bring on another photographer again to help with the demand, and it just hasn't stopped. It just kept continuing even through this year. So we're doing really, really great on that side.
That's great to hear. And I mean, that the nature of that business it's socially distanced by nature. So it's not like you're in a crowded room or what have you. You can go out, do your thing, photograph real estate and do what you do. So that's good to hear. So we've known each other for, about 5 years since you first came to town.
Yeah, it's been about 5 years since we've been here. Yep.
Met you at we had a ribbon cutting ceremony at our main campus in Marysville there with the Burroughs Theater and the Art Gallery, and you were sort of the photographer on hand to document the event. And we met, we talked, and we'll go through some of the projects we've done over the years. But let's go back a little bit and
Okay.
Tell us, who is Stoney Meagher? Where'd you grow up? Tell us a little more about yourself.
So I grew up in the Bay Area. I don't want to go way too far back, but
Right.
I was pretty much raised out here from the time I was 7, and went through a lot of tough times as a kid, and got in a lot of trouble when I was younger, and decided to clean up my act about the time I turned 18, and ended up having to just figure it out, and didn't have a college degree, and graduated high school, and just figured it's either sink or swim time, and I worked hard and ended up getting some decent jobs in supply chain, and started at the bottom and shipping and receiving, and then worked my way up to where I'm a materials manager, and then finally I was a supply chain program manager for Cisco Systems, and did that for quite a while, and I was there about 16 years, and ended up getting burnt out on that, and decided to actually retire, and I retired at 49 and came out to lovely Marysville, and so this is where we're gonna just do our thing. And
remind me, what was that connection from Bay Area to over here? Did you know people here or have friends?
No, I had a group that I used to run in the, I've always been involved in different things. So one of the things I used to do in the Bay Area is I had a metal detecting group.
Oh, that's right. Sure.
So we did a bunch of metal detecting, and we'd go out on group hunts, and that was kind of a cool gig because we would actually do stuff for the police department every once in a while. I'd get attorneys that would call and say, hey, we need somebody with a metal detector, and I'd pull together a team of people, and we'd go search for evidence. That was pretty cool.
Oh, man.
But one of my good friends, Mike, moved out here. He had some family, and he moved out here to get out of the Bay Area. And, he knew I was stressed out and, just needed a change. And he says, hey, come out, check out Marysville. And we went out to Edgewater about the time all the flooding was going on and the dam stuff was going on.
That was right, when the fear of Lake Oroville breaking was upon us. Oh, my God.
We had sold our house, and we were waiting for our house to be built here, and going, well, we may be homeless here pretty soon.
Oh, no. Oh, my gosh. What a welcome, huh?
Yeah, and so that's what kind of brought us out is my buddy Mike, and, and then the rest is
just did a total kind of change of life, huh?
Just change the life, slow things down, and I guess one thing I haven't learned how to do is slow down.
Good. Hey, like you said, otherwise we'd be sleeping on the couch, right?
Right.
What fun is that? I know you've shared some pictures recently on social media, but I knew about your time doing some car racing, but what about your music background? I saw a great photo of you as a drummer, and talk about that.
So when I was in probably just getting into like 8th grade, 7th, 8th grade, I was in marching band. I'm kind of a band group.
Oh my gosh.
There was a group called Spirit of Sunnyvale Marching Band that I was part of. My dad was president of the booster club and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I did that for a while, and when I got out of the band stuff, I was really into drumming and playing music, and so I was playing in some different garage bands and played rhythm and blues, and some tried to play rock and roll. I really liked the 70s rock, a lot of Van Halen and Eddie Money, and just all the great 70s bands that really influenced me. And the funniest thing is I made money at 15 years old playing in a country band.
Really? Oh my gosh.
And I didn't know country. It was like, well, it's so easy. I mean, their beats are all the same. And
right.
So I started playing in this country band, making Friday, Saturday night, making money. And that picture that's on Facebook is a 3-man band. Had the slinky old guy with his guitar player, and the bass player looked like a short thumbtack with a big old cowboy hat. And here's this skinny little Mexican dude on the drum set with a Confederate flag shirt, parachute pants,
That's
kind of hair,
right?
Confused as all can be. It's like I look at that picture and laugh. I go, man, I couldn't get away with that nowadays.
Oh, that was a classic. Oh, thanks for sharing that.
It's just it was a rebel type thing, not a racial thing that it's all about today, or racist thing. It was this rebel. It was.
Well, I love that you were making money as a musician as a kid. The gentleman who's going to be running our mariachi youth orchestra, hopefully starting this fall, talks about that. He says, I can get kids up and running, and within a year I can have them playing gigs as smaller, maybe not the full orchestra, but trios, quartets, and that idea. Why not? There's nothing wrong with making money through your art, whatever it is, right?
Oh yeah.
And so I love that story. What about the car racing? Because I know you were big into that.
Yeah, so I always had this fascination with Datsun 510s. My older brother, had them, and we always toyed around with them. And when I was younger, you never could really afford the really, really nice 510s, and we had little beater ones that we'd wrench on and work on. Well, when I started working for Cisco, you're working high tech, you're making a little bit of money, so I ended up building, the car of my dreams, and ended up having a really nice, 73 Datsun 510 that probably had, $30,000, $40,000 into it.
Wow.
And started racing it, started doing car shows, again, getting the club thing, was doing the car club thing, and went through that for a while. It was a lot of fun. And
you drove? You weren't just the mechanic, you were the driver as well? Or did you have
Actually, I was the driver, owner, and I ended up having mechanics. I didn't work on the car myself. That's why probably why it was so expensive. I always had somebody that worked on it.
Okay.
And not one of those guys that worked on their cars. So people would ask me all the time, what kind of engine is that? And I'm like, it's fast.
Yeah, right. You're like me.
I don't know. It goes. You just get in it. And
that's fun. So there's I don't know that world. So there's with someone like you, just kind of a amateur that just loves the sport. There's a circuit or something. You can go out and compete and have some fun.
They had regular, I did a lot of autocrosses and track days. Autocross is you're on the track by yourself basically, and you're racing the clock, to get through a technical course, and everybody's racing for time. So it's pretty safe, there's a lot of people. It was funny. There would be guys there that would go to the airport, rent a Mustang, go take it to the track, take the stock wheels off, put racing tires on, and when they're done, take it back to the other place.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah,
I'll never buy a car from a rental company again. Oh my gosh! Well, that's hilarious.
Just buy the extra insurance and go have fun.
Wow. So let's get into the art, the photography here. What when did you know you wanted to be a photographer? Where did that come from?
Yeah, it was kind of just a hobby. I'd play around with photos every once in a while, but when my kids were in baseball, I started taking it a little bit more serious, and really enjoyed the action of capturing what they were doing, and started buying a little more expensive cameras to get better photos. And the high tech world is pretty aggressive. A lot of the bigger companies have secrets as far as when you get older and been there a long time, they like to find ways to lay you off. And I knew my day would come, and so I'm like, I need something to fall back on. And so I'm like, hey, photography might be a thing I can do. And so, I started shooting for the local newspaper, and they'd send me out on gigs and, pay me like $20-$30 to go take pictures, and had a lot of fun. I met so many people.
Oh, wow.
And then, started taking a little more serious. I had a friend that had bought a mansion or a venue out in Modesto. And she says, hey, let's have you be the house photographer. So I started doing weddings out in Modesto.
Really? Oh
And
my
we
God.
had a travel trailer, so we'd go out on a Friday, stay the weekend, come back, and shoot the wedding, and did
That's
that.
funny. Funny you mentioned that. I just had a guest at the office earlier today, David Schroeder, who runs the Modesto Stanislaus County Arts Council, and we were talking about Modesto. It's quite a city with all the stuff they have going on. You were running out there to shoot weddings. Wow.
Shoot weddings, and then I started taking a little bit more serious, and started doing the wedding thing, and realized pretty quick. Every time we'd go to a wedding, it's the first weddings were always terrible.
Yeah.
You're never happy with the pictures. You could be the best photographer in the world, and I'd always look at the photo booth guy. The photo booth guy was in the corner. Everybody's laughing, having a good time, and drinking. It was just like it was a party.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I need to be doing that.
Yeah. Oh, there you go.
In a month or two, we went and bought a photo booth, and we started doing the whole photo booth thing, which was fun for a while. But then after you kind of get into the thing of the photo booth, it's a lot of hassle because now people are drunk and they're breaking your stuff, and so the novelty of doing that kind of wore off.
And I feel your pain about weddings because, as you know, I did that for a number of years back in my photography days, and it's stressful too. I mean, you only get one shot at this, the actual event. You can do the formal stuff later if you had to, but my gosh. And I remember one time every piece of equipment I had double everything, double Hasselblads and strobe units and everything quit on me one time. And it's just Panicsville. So yeah, I hear you. It's not fun.
Yeah. So now I try not to do many weddings. My son got married last year and he didn't want me to do his wedding. And I'm like, it's kind of like, really? You don't want me to shoot your wedding? He's like, no, I want you to have a good time. And then, but he kind of came out and said, I want you to officiate our wedding.
Yeah. Okay. So
it's really cool. I was like, wow, so I had to go get an ordained ministry and, do that thing so I could actually marry them. And,
nice.
The entrepreneurial person I am, I thought, how do I turn this into a business opportunity?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I figured, well, I can start advertising saying, I could marry you for your first wedding. I'll take pictures of your second wedding, and if you book everything now, I'll give you a great deal.
What a package! Oh my gosh, I like it. Looking ahead, right?
Looking ahead, but I still haven't got a client to take me up on that yet. So
well, but it's fun to talk about. So, I mean, did you have a mentor for photography, or did you just come to it on your own? Anybody? I
actually started. When I started doing the wedding thing and shooting for the newspaper, when I started shooting for the newspaper, I started meeting different photographers because they had a few different photographers that, would contract with the newspaper. And there was a guy at Cisco, Keith Tharp, one of the guys I met. And what was funny is I shot a rugby game. I had some people from Google say, hey, we want you to shoot rugby. Well, I didn't know anything about rugby. I mean, I had no idea what to shoot. If you watch baseball, you can anticipate the play. You know that they're going to go to first base. You can have the camera there. So you kind of know. But rugby, I have no idea what the ball. They're just running all over the place with the ball. So I have no idea what the action is. And so I called my buddy Keith and said, hey, I got a rugby game. I need you to shoot it with me. Yeah. So I learned pretty quick how to shoot, a sport I never shot before. Yeah. And that just led to this great friendship. And he became my mentor and started showing me a bunch of stuff on action. At the same time, I loved surfing, not surfing myself, but taking, photos of surfers and stuff like that. And I got Keith into shooting some surfing stuff too. And then we started making money. And it's like, Keith was a great photographer, but he made, maybe $2,000 or $3,000 a year. Yeah. The sports stuff, sports guys don't get paid a lot. Right. So I started showing him the marketing of Stoney Meagher. Let's see what we can do. So we would go out to the surfing guys and pass out little business cards saying, hey, we got you. Give us an email, shoot us a message. We'll send you your pictures. And we would do it and put a PayPal thing with a donation. Jay. And what happened was it exploded. Keith was then getting requests to go out there every weekend to shoot, particular surfers. And he was making bank. He took his little side thing from $2,000 a year to $20,000 a year. No kidding. Shooting surfing. Wow. And so him and I were doing that for a while before I moved out here. And he's just like, man, you're just a marketing genius. How did you come on? If there's value in it, people will pay for it. That's right. Oh, absolutely. Oh, good for you. That's good to hear. I hadn't heard that story. Yeah. So what was your first paid photography gig? Was it one of the weddings or a newspaper job, or? I would say the first thing was a newspaper.
Okay.
Because I'd see the photographer from the newspaper out there shooting the sports stuff, and I was like, I'm already out here. I wonder if I can get paid. So I called the newspaper and just offered them up, and they turned me down. I didn't have a portfolio or anything, and then apparently their photographer moved away,
right?
And so they called me and said, "Hey, you want to do stuff?" And then all of a sudden they were sending me on stuff almost every day.
Oh my God!
It could be an interview, it could be sports. It was just a lot of different things. One of the coolest shoots I had was with Colin Powell.
Oh wow!
Doing an interview, doing some pictures, of him.
Oh wow!
Which was just really cool, and it just opened the door to meet so many people in the community when you're out there shooting for the newspaper.
Well, and when you have a couple of celebs like that in your portfolio, it doesn't hurt.
Yeah.
I've heard him speak in person at some trade association events. Pretty powerful stuff. Good for you. Good for you. So here you are. You've moved to Yuba County. You're kind of a stranger in a strange land, and you're networking like crazy. So, what about the real estate? That's kind of your real estate photography. Isn't that your bread and butter these days?
I would say that's the bread and butter. And it's funny is I never targeted real estate. There's kind of a story behind that. Is when we sold our house in the Bay Area, I was doing this photography thing, and I had this whole intention when I moved out here that I would be shooting headshots and looking at doing weddings and things like that. But our realtor said, "Hey, I'm gonna do this marketing plan. I bring in a photographer. He's gonna shoot your house." And I'm like, "Well, I can shoot my house. I'm a photographer." And so I did. I shot my house. I sent him the pictures, and he very kindly says, "No, I'm gonna bring my photographer in."
Oh, interesting.
Okay. For it, it's what we do. And I'm like, okay.
There's a thing to it. Yeah.
Yep. So he brought his photographer in, and I followed that guy like a hawk. I probably bugged him like crazy because what kind of camera is that? What are you doing? What settings do you use? And why are you shooting? I'm just like a little kid, just all these questions. And I said, "Hey, can I send you my pictures? I want to get a photographer's opinion." I didn't trust what the realtor said. I wanted to know right from a photographer.
Yeah.
So this is on a Friday. He sends me an email back and basically just rips my photos.
Okay. All right.
Says, "You don't know what you're doing. You don't have the right lens. You don't know the lighting, the angles." And we just went on. He says, "I looked at your portfolio. Your sports stuff is great. Your wedding stuff is pretty good. But you don't know real estate."
Oh, interesting.
Okay. Thank you for the feedback. And so that night, I stay up till probably 2, 3 o'clock watching YouTube videos on how to shoot real estate videos.
Oh my gosh.
And wait for the camera store to open, go buy a $1,200 lens, the right lens I need. I reshoot my house. Yeah. And then I send him the pictures again and say, "What do you think now?" On Saturday afternoon.
Jeez.
Calls me Saturday and says, "So let me get this straight. In less than 24 hours, you somewhat learned to shoot real estate?" I said, "Well, I tried." He says, I like your drive. I like your enthusiasm. He says, "Well, what are your plans?" I said, "Well, I got 3 months before my house is finished. I'm not doing anything." He says, "Do you want to work for me?"
Oh my gosh.
I'm like, "Sure." I mean, what else I had to lose? So I learned how to shoot real estate photography from this really good, real estate photographer in the Bay Area. And it was tough love. I mean, if he didn't like it, he'd resend me out and said, "Nope, go shoot that house again."
Wow.
And
I didn't realize it started in the Bay Area. I thought that all strictly came about once you got here. So you had a little running start before you got. A
little bit of a running start. And it was tough love. I mean, he basically broke me down to a point where I wanted to give photography up altogether. I felt like I didn't know anything on photography. Everything I thought I learned, self-taught, was just, I don't know what I'm doing. Oh. And then we had a meeting, and he says, "Great, I broke you down." He says, "You're a great photographer. You just need to get rid of your ego a little bit, and I wanted to break you down, and then we're going to build you back up."
Oh my gosh, what a great story!
Yeah, so our whole initial plan was to build his business out here, and I would shoot for him just like I was in the Bay Area, but we would build his brand. And the one flaw in that was he didn't want to have the area pricing; he wanted the Bay Area pricing.
Okay.
And I'm like, "Well, there's no way I'm going to make money doing that." And you're going to make some money, but I'm not making anything. This isn't going to work.
Yeah.
So, long story short, I just kind of went on my own, and we severed ties. And now I'm probably the #1 real estate photographer out here in 5 years, and I probably see most of the listings. There's some great photographers out here, doing it. But if I look at my numbers I keep, I shoot for probably 9 of the top 10 selling agents out here, and it's spreading, for all the way from, Sacramento, Grass Valley, I'll go wherever anybody wants me to go. It's just,
I was going to say, you're all over. You're not just focused on Yuba Sutter. You're up in Nevada County and down south and wherever. Yeah.
Yep. I mean, I've gone back to the Bay Area a few times. People are willing to pay the travel fee just to have us, go down there, and
Okay.
we're probably doing on average 7 to 10 shoots every day. So it's
Wow.
definitely grown.
That's incredible. And yeah, I'll just add, I know some of the gigs you've done for us outside of the art stuff that we'll talk about here in a minute. And that Stoney and you know, right up front were just so clearly professional, and your timing, your response time, just all of the backup stuff and the support is just, and good for you. You've earned it, and just great to hear that it's been successful. So
Thank you.
subsidize some of your other habits, right?
Absolutely.
Comedy and fishing and other things.
Yep.
Let's not get too far ahead of ourselves. Should we look at a few photos?
Sure.
I know Shantae's got some queued up. Maybe if we could look at some of the sports stuff, the off-road photography, or just the surfing imagery. It's just, yeah, I love the surfing stuff. And you said this one was from shore?
Yeah, this is from shore out in Santa Cruz. We started doing a lot of stuff out there. This kid here is an up and coming, I'm sure he's probably a professional surfer by now. I still follow him on Instagram. Met with his mom a few times. They bought a few photos, but he's a really good surfer. I mean, but to get these shots is that, the secret on this was I'd see the moms out there when their kids out surfing, and they've got their little cell phones trying to get this type of picture with the cell phone. And I'd kind of squeeze up next to them and say, "Hey, who are you taking pictures of?" And they point a kid out, and I take my long range lens and snap a few photos, show them on the back of the camera.
Yeah.
Oh my God, those are so great! Oh, here's my card, and I'd send her the picture. Send her the pictures, and with the PayPal link, say, "Just pay me what you think." And
wow,
it kind of gave me an idea of what the market was. What are they willing to pay?
Yeah.
And some people would pay $20, $30. Some people a couple $100.
Wow.
Keith had a guy out there that was I guess didn't even know, but was some big rich dude, paid him like $3,000 for some pictures. It was just insane. So the market's all over the place.
I love the big waves. Do you know the surfer Laird Hamilton?
No.
You ever heard of him? He's one of the guys that pioneered big wave surfing, and where they actually take the boats, tow them out to the big stuff, the 50 footers. And anyway, so anytime I see the big waves like this, it's just spectacular. That's a beauty. So
what's cool with this picture is this was the last year they had Mavericks competition before they folded the whole Mavericks thing.
And I saw the movie about that, and it's off the North Coast shore here. Is it Marin Camp?
At Half Moon Bay or Kingston, kind of out there. There's a big shelf where the waves go from deep water to shallow water, and create, with the I don't know, the wind, the onshore winds, help create these huge waves, and when it hits that shallow water, they just get huge.
And why did they shut it down? Was it a danger factor? Or?
No, it was just funding and how it was managed, and just politics in the surfing community.
Okay. And so people are still out. People are still out there surfing.
Oh yeah, there's tons of people. If you follow them, there's they're out there. But yeah, as far as the organization of Mavericks putting it on,
sure,
it doesn't happen. So
sure. There's your race car, right? Your Datsun.
That was my baby, my Datsun. That was a fun little car. And funny thing is I sold it. There was a kid that bought it, had it like a year. His dad told him he couldn't have it. It was too much car for him. I know the guy that has it now, and I talk to him every few months about what he's doing to it. And so I'm just waiting for him to finish the rebuild that he's doing on it so I can go take some pictures of it.
Oh, I thought you were
drive it again.
You're going to go buy it. Yeah. Oh, that's fun. That's wonderful. And before I forget, that last surfing shot, and that was taken from a boat. You actually,
we got a chartered boat out there
to take out there. Wow.
And it is funny as you think about shooting a picture from a boat. When you're on shore and you're on have a tripod, nothing's moving. This boat is going up and down and around.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Hold a camera, and
you're like this.
Yeah, totally.
Wow.
And
how long a lens?
What's that?
How long a lens?
70 to 200.
200. Okay, it's hard enough to hold on stable ground, let alone on a boat.
Yeah, and so by the end of the day, I just felt like I got run over by a truck.
Oh, bet.
There was just so much movement and gyration of muscles I never use.
Wow.
But it was a fun. I'd do it again.
Good stuff. So you mentioned earlier, I think it was Portraits of Veterans. Was that our first?
Our first one we did was Portraits of Veterans. Actually, no, it was the headshots we did at the stand down.
Yeah, that was Portraits of Veterans. That was
that
it.
was the first one we did with the stand down, and then we did another series.
We got a grant from the state, part of the Veterans Initiative in the Arts, and it involved. We wound up photographing with a couple of photographers, Stoney and a couple others, Mark Bradley, Richard Grant. Photographed 400 veterans here locally, and they kind of got a little bit of a photo studio experience. But yeah, those first sessions were out at Beckworth Park during the YubaSutter Veteran Stand Down event a few years ago, and Stoney set up a photo booth, and we just photographed veterans that would stop by that day, met a ton of people, and just had a great experience. So, and then we blew those up. They're all black and white. We decided that would be the style, and then blew them up to 20 inches by 30 inches. And then we had a display in our gallery in Marysville, but then also we had satellite gallery exhibits all over town, at the Chamber of Commerce, over at the Yuba County and Sutter County libraries, and so it really kind of lived on. We did one, in fact, at Sutter County Museum. We displayed a lot of the photos there. So great experience and great job. These high quality black and white portraits, very kind of close up. Oh, there's another one of your racing, because you've shot out here at the track here, haven't you?
Yeah, I've got some dirt bike stuff, street racing stuff. My brother races motorcycles, so it was just really cool to get. That's not him, but it was just kind of cool to get out on the track and shoot these guys, with their knee inches off the ground and getting some pretty clear pictures.
Ouch. Gives me a rug burn just thinking about it. So yeah, that was Portraits of Veterans. I'm sorry, I don't think we have any.
I don't think I have any in here.
I didn't pull any up, but and then we did was Art of the Tattoo next.
Yeah, Art of the Tattoo. We got was that Amy there from Rockabetty?
Amy Johnson.
Yep.
And this was a fabulous show. And how did we come to that? Because I think I mentioned to you one day that I don't have any body art, but every once in a while, not always, but I'll see someone with some work and I go, my gosh, that is just, I want that painted on my wall. I mean, just some of it is so spectacular. We got to talking, and you're a practitioner. You understand that world, and next thing we know, we find the money to go out, and you met every tattoo artist, I think, in both counties.
Yep.
Explained the project. This whole thing was going to lead up to a gallery display, which it did. And what'd you photograph? 80 some people?
Yeah, it was about something like 80 people. We did. The unique thing with this one was, the whole theme behind it was, there's so many people with tattoos now, and the stigma of tattoos has changed.
Yes.
And typically there's a story behind the tattoo that you never see. You just see this person with ink. So we did this project where we took a picture of them, did a pop-up studio, and then we also did an interview with them to have them tell the story of their tattoo. So we put the QR code at the bottom of the art gallery on the picture, and when you scan that QR code, it would bring up the video of that person telling the story. When we did all the shoots, the stories I got out of this were just amazing, and all that footage and all those things are still up on YouTube that you can still go check out.
That's right.
And it's just, if you listen to their stories, it's not just bad people with tattoos. There's a lot of healing. A lot of the women had abuse stories that this signifies something about what's happened to them. Amy had her own stories about her tattoos, and so it was just really cool to get those stories out and have them. I mean, you got this biker dude that looks real burly, and he's sitting here crying about how his wife died on a motorcycle ride, and this tattoo represents that. And it's like, see these big dudes crying. It was
I know, that was so powerful, and we had a great opening reception. A lot of the subjects for the photos came out, and again, we blew all of Stoney's images up to 20 by 30. Obviously, we did full color for this project. And then Stoney said he had created QR codes with those videos on each of the 20 by 30 prints. So you go up, you go, oh, this person looks interesting, and you've never met him, and you hold up your smartphone, zap the QR code, and boom, there she is telling you why she got her tattoos and what they mean to her. So, yeah, no, really, and we had them all over the walls of the main art gallery in Marysville. So, just a really super, super project.
And then that led to the Live Oak one that we did the same thing with the QR codes, and we've got pictures all over Live Oak that are blown up even bigger.
Yeah, those are 4 foot by 8 foot, mostly horizontals, but a couple of portrait mode. And I don't think we have any, but yeah, it's called We Are Live Oak, and they're basically photographs of people that we met at the course of kind of public events up in Live Oak. We said, hey, do you want to be part of this project? You're going to be put on a mural. And again, Stoney captured a video, included a QR code on each of those murals that we enlarged, and another great project. So it's, hi, I'm Elizabeth. I've lived in Live Oak all my life. I really love it here because of whatever. And then here's this magnificent portrait of that person. Or it was was it the FFA club from Live Oak High School? Was another group, and then there was another kind of family cluster, and then just a couple of friends hanging out, and we got their stories, and just a really neat project. We are Live Oak. All right, now how about the fun one there? Since it's queued up, how about World Naked Gardening Day? Where the heck did that come from?
So that was one you and I talked about, where I brought it to you and said, David, have you heard of this World Naked Gardening? And we kind of talked about it, and you're pretty open minded, and we're like, you know what? Let's try it and see what happens. And forgive me, I'm really bad with names. I forgot who.
Yeah, Matt and Kelly. I said, well, you know what? If they're in, we're in.
So they were the very first ones we shot.
This is probably still my favorite of the set.
Yeah, and that's why I picked this one, because I mean, this is guy that they've never met is going to come and shoot pictures of them naked, and and it was just, we made it tasteful, we made it fun.
Absolutely.
And we turned this whole thing into a whole art exhibit, and I was surprised at how many people we got to do this. And again, the concept behind it, was just celebrating that feature, but I was shocked at the realm of people we got. I didn't know if it was young people,
young and old. I know, it was crazy.
It was all the way from from like 20-year-olds up to 70-year-olds, and
a couple of them I saw. Oh my God, he did it! Oh gee,
they all had their different story about why they were doing this, and it all had to do with that they just felt liberated. Randy Warner, I've got some pictures of really funny pictures of him. He has a good time, and we were going to do it last year, but we just couldn't get the participation with COVID going on, and we were going to do a themed one instead of just naked gardening. We were going to do naked farming.
Yes.
But it was just hard getting somebody to donate a farm, but if we can get some support around that, maybe next year we can do it. It happens in May, so the Naked Gardening Month,
and it's a real thing. Yeah, did it start in Australia? I haven't. I think it started in Australia, and it really is a celebration, and there's people that get out and garden naked, so why not here, right?
Yep.
Oh, it's great stuff. So then we got another grant, Jump Starts, from the California Arts Council, and this project involved sending teaching artists in various fields into the classroom, specifically at the schools for kind of the continuation schools, the schools for at-risk, system-engaged youth, everything from Juvenile Hall to the Cardin schools in Marysville to Feather River Academy, South Lyndhurst High School, credit deficient students or students that are struggling for whatever reason. So Stoney went in and created a whole program to teach some basic digital photography skills. And I mean, that was a heck of an experience. I mean, we did a couple of videos in the classroom, and the response from the teachers and the students was great. The whole thing culminated in an actual art show on campus. And talk about that experience.
Yeah, so it's interesting with my background, being a juvenile delinquent and going down the road that a lot of these kids were going into, continuation school, or, whatever they call it nowadays. But, when I was doing it was continuation. It was like you were kicked out of your regular school, and, I was expelled and on the wrong track, and all these kids are that same way. So my background was very similar to where they were headed. And I thought it would be a really good way to reach them, to show that, look, here I am, 50 years old, started out the same way you did, and now I'm self-employed, running 2 businesses, and this isn't the end of the road to you. It's all about your life choices and what you decide to do with your life. And yeah, I've been there, but look at where I am now. And with a little bit of hard work and, dedication, you too. And so it was kind of interesting to see how they responded. We definitely had kids that you could tell weren't interested. They were just getting their credits or do whatever. The most moving was juvenile hall. That was challenging because how am I going to have these kids be creative when they can't get out? I mean, it's not like, at the school where they can go out to the yard and do stuff and just get some really cool pictures. We had a lot of restrictions on what we could shoot, what we can't shoot. A lot of kids that we can't show their identity and stuff like that.
Right.
And so when we got them the cameras in their hand, and I was able to work with the guards there, the correctional people, to let them at least get outside. And so this is one of the pictures that a kid took. That
was a student that took that of a fellow student.
Right. It was a student.
My gosh. Wow.
And if knowing that this is in juvenile hall, you look at this, it's just so powerful to me as here's a kid that can't go anywhere. He's looking at the basketball court. And if you look in detail, there's no rim on the court. There's a ball sitting there on the ground and, he can't get to it. There's this stuff where he can go, play basketball, but he can't because he's locked up. And there were so many great pictures that we did with the kids and just looking at it from their eyes and just said, here, go take pictures of what you want. And then what we did with them as the last day is we had them tell us, their story. Why'd you take that picture? What does that picture mean to you?
Yeah.
That in itself could have been a huge, great art exhibit, showing, the passion that, that these kids and a lot of these kids, were in there for, there's some kids that were, 17, 18 years old that when they're done with this, they're not done. They're going to prison. They're going to jail.
Yeah.
So I'm not dealing with just little kids that are, playing hooky from school. I mean, these are kids that are going to basically be lifers of, this system of being in jail and trying to reach them to say, there is an option, right? When you go down that road, you're stuck to some degree because now you're labeled. When you've been in jail, you're a felon. Nobody wants to hire you. You're at it. You're on parole. What happened? And it's like, I've run into some people along those lines, and it's like nobody will hire you, but that doesn't mean you're not hireable. So start your own business, right? I mean, I've never been to real jail. I mean, I've been to juvenile hall, but I cleaned my act up before then. But, I do have family members that have been down that road and they're unemployable and they use that as an excuse to why they can't get a job. But it's like, start your own business. You're talented. You have skills. It's just, how do you want to motivate yourself? And
do you feel like it sounds like you did, but you feel like you connected with a few students on that one?
I've connected with a few. The thing would be cool is to be out shooting a house and have one of these kids saying, hey, I remember you.
Oh, yeah.
You shot, you come and taught me in juvenile hall, and here he is owning a house and doing his own business. That would be like amazing to see.
That'd be fun to come full cycle that way.
Oh, yeah.
I know you talked about it during the during that program and all the different classes you ran at all those different facilities. And I remember you talking about how powerful it was for you personally. So good job on that one. Let's see. Should we, let's talk about the comedy thing. How about that?
Comedy.
Yeah. So here you are. This was, I think, January of 2020. We had talked about doing a comedy thing. And I told you how Angel Diaz, for a number of years here, had run a series of comedy events, and you were just getting into it, both as a comedian and a producer. And you said, let's try one. So you'd been doing, I think, Seller and Suds at the time, was hosting comedy events every week. And so January last year, before we got shut down, you did this event, and it was like crazy. It was like a sold out house. The bar sales were through the roof, so we made a little money. You brought in this great group of comedians, some local, some from Chico, and it was just a fun evening. So how'd you get into all of that? Where was your interest? I mean, getting up on stage and trying to be funny. I mean, I did a little acting, but to do that is, to me, another step beyond.
So Randy was running the mic over at Seller and Suds.
Okay, Randy Warner. Okay, I didn't realize he was running it. Okay.
Yeah, he was doing the thing out there, and then Rudy would say, "Hey, come out, check this out." So I went out a couple times, and it's an open mic; anybody can get up.
Yeah.
So they a little liquid courage, and they said, "Hey, get up on stage." And I got up on stage, and I just got the bug at that point, and
Wow.
started doing it. And COVID hit. I had ideas of producing shows and getting going, and then I invested a lot of money to get started, and then COVID shut everything down.
Yeah. Right.
We had plans to do more comedy with YubaSutterArts, and that all got shut down. And so now that things are opening up, we're starting to get back into the swing. I've done, I don't know how many shows this year already. We've done a lot of shows. We've got a couple open mics that we do here locally. I've got up at Francis Lake. We have a gig up there once a month, called Mountaintop Comedy. And we have Sopatai that we're doing tomorrow. So that's
tomorrow. Okay, tomorrow 7 to 8:30. All right.
7. So this is one that's a new venue for us. I'm actually partnering with the host there, Joe Steve. He's got the same passion that I do. He's a really good, comedian. So he hit me up and said, "Hey, he's got some ties with Sopatai. Let's give it a try." So tomorrow night is our kind of debut. I would say we stacked the deck a little bit with, reaching out to some of the comics we know, and we want a really good show of comedians. And if they like the show we put on, they may bring us on to do this once a month.
What's the typical set? You got a lot of comedians lined up there. So what are they doing? 10 minutes each? 15?
So for this show, the set list I got, everybody's doing like 5 minutes. And then
really? So it's going to be moving. You don't like one? Okay.
We're gonna cycle them through, and then the Joey C, the one, and then the Shannon Battle. Those are the 2 headliners.
Okay.
They're gonna get like 12 to 15 minutes. Do a little longer set, but we wanted to give them a variety of different styles of comedy.
Okay.
Comedy is an interesting field right now because everybody is so sensitive about anything and everything, and stuff. You look back at like George Carlin, Richard Pryor, Eddie Murphy, some of these even current comics like Dave Chappelle.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's just hard to have anything where people are gonna be offended. So it's difficult to do comedy when you gotta kind of watch your P's and Q's but still be funny.
Right. Right.
So it's challenging, and it's challenging for me as a producer to find comics that aren't going to be offensive, and try to weed through. This one is just starting out or whatever. It's just trying to find the right content.
Yeah.
And sometimes we miss. Sometimes we do get people that aren't happy, and we're sensitive to that and try to. But we also don't want we don't want to censor either. It's an art. It's their outlet. So.
Where are these folks from all over? I mean, Sacramento, Chico. We got
a mix of Sacramento and Chico in here. Yuba City. Buddy is from Yuba City.
Oh, okay.
I'm from Marysville. I've got my stage name, Stoney Stone, that I use. Right. But there's some big hitters in here from Sacramento. The guy in the middle at the bottom, what's his name? I can't even read it. There in the middle, right by the mic stand. Angel.
Angel. Okay.
He's out of Davis. He's coming out of Davis. Joey C. It's funny, as Joey C.'s wife is a realtor. And I didn't know that. And so as him and I are working on some stuff, his wife now calling me to do her real estate photos.
Boy, talk about, casting a wide net there and double dipping, so to speak.
So, I encourage people to come out. This is going to be a great show. Joe's a great, Joe Steve's a great host, and we're going to give you guys a really good show. And
no, that's great. And I love to see this because I know it was very popular back in the day. And then when you brought it up and you started to put it together and make those contacts, you just need someone like you to take the time to figure out where the talent is and bring it all together. So do you remember the date of our next event? You're going to be hosting a comedy program at the Sutter Theater Center for the Arts for us.
So I know it's in October. I don't have the date.
Well, we're
going to get that blasted out here soon.
Oh, yeah.
I already have the headliner picked out for that show.
You're going to bring in the big
guy out of Sacramento, Johnny Taylor. He's a pretty well-known comedian. He's going to be a great headliner, and we're just trying to fill the spots in between. I may get up and do a little bit myself. My comedy is coming along. It is a process.
Yes, sure.
A big learning process, trying to figure out what people laugh at. And
you're a brave man, Mr. Meagher. Any stage fright, or are you way past that?
I'm way past that. It's just more about content. It's about remembering, and so a lot of my style of comedy is a storytelling type thing. So it's taking my real life experiences and trying to make them funny. Some of it is, indulged. Some of it is real. It's for you to determine what's real and what's not. But I try to make it funny. And
that's good.
so,
Do you use notes? Do you memorize?
I used to use notes. If I'm working on something new, you'll see me with a cell phone trying to, read through some of it. But I'm to a point now where I've got a set that I don't need to read anything because I've got it memorized, and I change it up every once in a while just so it's not the exact same set all the time. But trying to get some depth so I have a few different things that I can do so it's not just the same old thing every time.
Yeah, good. It's funny talking about using notes. I saw George Carlin live in Washington, D.C. at the National Theater when I lived there a few years ago, and he'd just come out of his, I don't know, 4th or 5th rehab. He's up on stage and he's going through some of the standard material, and I'm a huge fan. Really fun, funny, edgy material, as you well know, the 7 words you can't say on TV. Yep. It was a long time ago.
Yes.
But he got up on stage and he's using notes. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, somebody yelled something out, and he goes, "Hey, you want me to get the jokes right, don't you?" and then it was a setup. He puts them down, and I forget which bit he did, but then he launched into one of his really quick, fast-paced 3-4 minute monologues. Boom, 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 from memory, which obviously hadn't murdered all of his brain cells. And he goes, "There, take that." And it was so fun, but really a master, even in his old age when he was kind of on the way out. But
and that's interesting is you look at comedy as an art, and what I'm finding as I meet more and more people, there's seems like a lot of substance abuse in comedy. There's a lot of depression in comedy, which is really surprising that there's people are pulling from their life experiences, and there's a real dark side to the comedy world. And I'm trying to come at it from a different perspective of it doesn't have to be dark. It doesn't need to be depressing. It doesn't need to be, substance abuse. A lot of people that know me, I'm not real shy about it, but, with the marijuana side, I do suffer from fibromyalgia, and marijuana has helped me tremendously with dealing with that. But I run a business. I get up and do my job, and I work, and I, do a lot of different things. So it doesn't have to be something that's debilitating and have a bad, aura to it. It's can't be a productive citizen. It's just like anything else. There's an opioid problem because people abuse it. People sometimes need it to function and work, and it's just like anything else. You can use things in moderation and contribute, just like alcohol. There's a lot of alcoholics in comedy.
Oh yeah, I'll bet.
But it's choices. You go back to your choices of what you want to do.
So you got the photography thing going, you got the comedy thing going, and now you got the fishing thing going. So let's talk about fishing. You're talking to a lifetime fisherman. Yep. You're doing stuff I never have done. So how'd you get into fishing? Because you didn't really have a background in fishing, did you?
No, I fished a lot as a kid.
Oh, you did? Okay.
What was funny is when COVID hit, everything shut down. There was nothing you could do. I wanted to do comedy stuff, and I was sitting around one day, and I'm like, I'm going to go fishing. So I had these poles that have been following me around forever, and I went and got some new line on them and went out to Ellis Lake and started catching all these fish. And I'm like, well, it's kind of fun. And just got the bug to do fishing. And then, another night I was sitting there, I'm like, I'm going to create this Facebook page and see what happens. So I just said, I'm an old fart, so I'm going to create Old Farts Fishing. And I threw it out there and just, I'll probably get like 3 followers. Well, I think now I look at it, we got like 1,200 followers.
Damn, just like that. Wow.
Yeah, with 1,200 followers. We're making videos. We're doing a lot of stuff from shore. And, I wanted to get a boat. And my wife's like, nope, you're not getting a boat. It's nothing we need. And so, of course, what I do is call my tax person and say, hey, if I buy a boat and I start doing fishing videos, can I write this off?
There you go.
She says, absolutely. So I think we're on now episode 81. I sent our videos. And
oh, my God.
And so we're doing a lot of
your second boat, right?
And my second boat. Actually, my third boat. I think it's my third boat. In a year. And so I just keep, upgrading. But,
wow.
We're coming at it from a different perspective with Old Farts Fishing. It's more about we're having fun. It is a couple old farts. We're not professional fishermen. We're trying to figure it out. We are actually starting to catch fish. We have a lot of fun making our videos. Some of them are just way out there funny. Some of them are just catching fish, and we're just having fun making a lot of great connections in the community. I actually have another project I'm still trying to figure out what I'm going to do, and that's the film festival coming up. I think that's still going on. I don't know, but
we need something from you. Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah,
Middle of September is the deadline for submissions. For folks that don't know about this, we're hosting. This is the kind of the brainchild of Sean Harris, city councilman, Yuba City, and a member of the Yuba Sutter Arts and Culture Board. And he said, "Hey, I want to do a film festival, short videos, films, 13 minutes or less, all filmed principal photography in Yuba and Sutter counties." And we said, "Okay, let's do this." So we put the word out, and we're bugging anybody we know, and you all that might be seeing this for the first time, jump in on this opportunity. And then it's going to turn into a all-day film festival or depending on how many submissions we get, October 2nd. And so I know I had talked to Stoney. I said, "Hey, put something together, or put a couple of things together." There's no limit on submissions, but again, the only rules are 13 minutes or less, and make it in Yuba and Sutter.
Yeah, so
yeah,
to mix a little bit of the comedy with the fishing, and if you watch some of our videos, we do a lot of funny stuff.
Yeah.
Some of it is age appropriate, some of it's not. It's just we get out there, we start having a good time, and my buddy Mike, who works at Phoenix Ridge, when him and I get on the water, you never know what's going to happen with the video. It's just gets pretty crazy. It's
a
lot of editing because I got to cut a lot of stuff out.
Yeah, all right. Well, you know how to do that. So we'll look forward to getting your submissions. So yeah, get involved if that's of interest to anybody else out there. Give us a call for more details. All right, golly, we wasted a perfectly good hour here, or almost. Anything else we should have touched on before we get into these final 10 questions?
Oh, the 10 questions.
I know, the 10 questions.
No, I think we covered a lot. I mean, I look back at the last 5 years. It's been a whirlwind. I can't believe it's been 5 years.
Yeah.
It's I tell people, a lot of people that follow me from my past is, they look at what I've done is taken that leap of faith of being tied down to a corporate job, being tied down to the money that you make in the high tech world, and making a decision to say, you know what, I'm done, and doing it before they chew you up, spit you out, and do it on your terms, and say, you know what, I'm just gonna do it and be my own man and make it happen. And in 5 years, I look at what I did and went, wow, getting laid off from my job was probably the biggest blessing ever, that I would never have taken this risk if that didn't happen. So a door closes, another one opens, and you just make it what you want to make it.
Well, we're glad to know you and glad you're here, and certainly part of the art and culture of the community. I just wanted to mention too, I skipped over one little section here that I just wanted to touch on. We've used Stoney as a special event photographer on a number of projects. So we had a mural marathon in Live Oak in 2018. Stoney came out and documented the whole thing. We had 5 artists creating large murals on the side of the old Sonny's Market, and they had like 36 hours to create their murals. Stoney covered every inch of that. A few weeks back, we had the Celebrate the Keys ceremony at the Sutter Theater Center for the Arts, which was sort of the symbolic handover from the Sutter Performing Arts Association to Yuba Sutter Arts of that beautiful property on Plymouth Street, and he covered that wonderfully. You did all that great drone footage for us out at the Arboga Assembly Center to kind of really amplify the video tour that we created, and using that drone footage really added a whole nother dimension. So special events, Stoney's your man. So all right, let's do these 10 questions. So I feel like it's been months since I did one of these. I was out of town for 3 weeks. We're doing these monthly, let's be honest. I think a lot of folks have Zoom fatigue, but these interviews have been a lot of fun, and we've gotten a lot of interest, and again, maybe there's only a few people watching us right now, but these things live on. And I know, Stoney, with your network, you'll be sharing these far and wide, or this interview far and wide, and we get hundreds of people that are able to watch these things and kind of tune in, meet a local artist that you might not have known about. So they've got tremendous value. So we're going to keep doing them, fewer than we were doing last year at the height of the pandemic, as we go more and more to live events, live comedy, live art gallery shows. But we still love the virtual stuff, and we'll keep it going. So these are the 10 questions we like to wrap up each of these interviews with, that were created more or less by James Lipton, who used to run the Actors Studio in New York. He did a TV interview program for years, and he'd always ask his guests at the end of the show these 10 questions. And I thought they were just fun and opens up another aspect of the personality of these wonderful people we interview. So, Stoney, what's your favorite word?
This is gonna not be politically correct, but probably the F word.
No, well, that's all right.
It's
We
the
know
most,
that comes up
the
later
most
too, though.
versatile word in the U.S.
Well, I know, but is that also your favorite curse word?
Sometimes, but it can be a noun, a pronoun, an adjective.
That's true.
I mean, all at once. You just have to use it. A verb.
All right. Okay. Well, what's your least favorite word?
Probably hate.
I
don't like hate. Hate's bad.
And what turns you on creatively, spiritually, or emotionally?
I think seeing like a lot of the projects that we've done, just seeing the reaction of people and how they're appreciative, or how you can be able to motivate somebody else. And to me, to see somebody get motivated and successful is amazing. To feeling to know I helped this person accomplish something or grow, or to give back through knowledge is
wonderful. What turns you off creatively, spiritually, or emotionally?
Judgment, negative judgment. I mean, not everybody's perfect. You're trying your best at times, and when people are negative or try to put you down, or about when you're trying to do things, it's just a turn off. Yeah.
All right. And then back to, if you want to offer another one, what's your favorite curse word?
My favorite curse word, probably the same one. All
right. Okay. That's all right. You can answer twice. What sound or noise do you love?
The ocean, or the water, just water, whether it's a fountain, ocean waves, a river. Sometimes when we're fishing and we just went out to the rock dam out of Gridley up there, and just hearing that rushing water is so peaceful. But yeah, I love that sound.
That's a good one. What sound or noise do you hate?
Nails on a chalkboard.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's a good one. What profession other than your own would you like to attempt?
Would I like to attempt? Being a lawyer, that would be fun.
I'm with you on that one. It leads to
a lawyer, or it's funny is I always thought it'd be cool to be a detective.
Oh,
like just doing investigations, and I think that would be really cool.
What's your favorite cop show? Do you have one? You ever watch any? You don't have time.
Yeah, I don't have a lot of time, but I used to like watching the the cop show, cops, and
right.
a lot of those ID channel stuff where they're doing investigations of murders or what have you. But
the real
intrigued with that stuff.
Yeah. What profession would you not like to pursue?
Digging ditches.
Oh.
Manual labor. I want to work with my brain more than my back.
You put in your time early on, like we all did. Last but not least, so if heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
You made it.
All right. Oh, Stoney, that's great, man. This has been a lot of fun. Learned so much. That's the formal part of the show is over. Anything else you want to share or wrap up?
This community has been great. People thought I was crazy doing what I was doing, and I have no regrets. It's just been an amazing journey. I'm not done yet. I'm always looking for the next thing to kind of keep me going. Right now, it's the comedy show and the fishing stuff, and who knows what'll be next. It's just, I'm always trying to reinvent and do something different.
We'll find something for you. And I should say, Stoney's been very generous too with his time and talent. He's helped us out on a lot of projects that we weren't necessarily grant funded for. So we appreciate your in-kind donations in that regard. But we love to pay you whenever we can. So thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Stoney, we'll stay safe, be well. Thanks to our technical support team, producer Abby Cecina, and technical directors Alex Cecina, who's not on with us today, but Shante Arroyo is back there making the magic happen. So
very cool.
Join me next time, Artist Alchemy, Tuesday, August 24th, 4 p.m. Special guest will be arts educator Pam Novak. She will have just come back from her summer abroad in Italy, where she goes to teach art classes in English and tours the countryside. If you see Pam Novak on Facebook, she's in Rome today, I think. So that'll be live on YubaSutterArts&Culture's Facebook page and YouTube channel. So keep track of all we have to offer at YubaSutterArts.org. Until next time, that's it for Artist Alchemy. Bye.
Thanks for having me.